Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for Demystifying Data Streaming. This is a Solifi Industry Small Talk panel chat. I'm your host. I'm Billy Kripe, the Global Vice President of Marketing for Solifi, and I am really excited today to have you all join us live, or if you're watching this on demand, thank you for being here on demand, to have this industry small talk session with our experts from Tamarack. This session is designed to be practical and very approachable. This is not a product demo or a sales call. Instead, this is a conversation with you and with our guests about data, how it actually works, how organizations can get started using data streaming and get more value out of their data, whether they are already in the cloud, considering migrations from on-premises to the cloud, or simply looking for ways to create better connectivity between all of their critical business applications. Over about the next 30 minutes or so, we'll talk about what data streaming really is, why it matters now more than ever, and how strong data foundations unlock analytics and AI. We'll focus less on tools and more on real-world practicalities and examples with our guests and experts here from Tamarack. A quick note about this session. We are recording this session, and we want this to be interactive. You, if you're joining with us live, have a question and answer panel there in your screen. We invite you to ask questions of our guests or to pose your technical challenges right there in the Q&A box. As they come up in the course of conversation, we will address those. In the event that we don't get to your question, we'll reach out to you after the panel chat. Well, enough with all of the housekeeping, gang. Let me introduce our Tamarack team. Today, I am joined by Corey Ashline, Senior Account Executive with Tamarack, Chad Carlson, our Director of Professional Services, and Tim Applegate, Director of SaaS Products with Tamarack. Tamarack is a Solifi partner specializing in data streaming and data management. And with that, let's stop me talking. Let's hear from our guests. So, gentlemen, thank you for being with us today. Why don't you take a moment and introduce yourselves to everyone on the webinar with us?
Yeah,
Chad,
happy to. I'll jump on.
Oh, Corey, let's start with you. Good job jumping right in.
I'll jump in first, try to get things going here. So thank you, everyone, for joining. We're really happy to be here. I am Corey Ashline, Senior Account Executive with Tamarack. I've been with Tamarack for a couple of years now, in the industry for a couple of years as well. Background in a lot of data and engineering, though. So happy to be here and happy to be with everyone. Now I'll kick it over to you, Chad.
All right. Thank you. I'm Chad Carlson. I've been at Tamarack for coming up on 10 years, running the professional services team. I've been in software development and this industry for about 20 years, so really excited to be part of this. Tim.
Hi, Tim Applegate. My background, I've got about 30 plus years in the equipment finance industry, also a Solifi customer for almost all of those 30 plus years in some way or fashion. I'm a blend of business and IT background in terms of my industry experience. I've been with Tamarack for about 4+ years working around the data related products that we provide. So great to be with all of you. So,
gentlemen, thank you. This is absolutely huge. And if you're joining us live or if you are watching this on demand, this panel here has an immense amount of combined years of experience in the industry and with technology. And this is a really unique opportunity for you all to be engaging with them, asking your questions. Well, let's get this ball rolling here. And Chad, let's start with you. You know, when we talk about data in the secured finance space, the the on-premises systems, the ones that are touching, core banking systems, core ERP systems, there's a lot of systems, whether it's for visualization, for reporting, for integration and workflow and process management, that are sitting on premises, either in a data room, in a cloud data center or a local cloud data center. How are companies traditionally accessing their on-premises systems and connecting those systems together?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I just want to start. I mean, different companies are at different levels of maturity when it really comes to data. So I kind of want to start there. You kind of lump them into two groups. You kind of have a group that's more getting started to define their data strategy, or at a foundational level. I mean, you see kind of that group's just either, they have a lot of disconnected systems. They're working off of data that's living off of drives. They're building, ad hoc or different queries right out of different systems, right directly out of the systems, and really don't have a, full cohesive strategy. And then you kind of have the people that are a little bit more in their data journey. They might have, a little bit better tools to leverage the data, to connect the data with the data warehouse. And so along all those lines, there's a lot of different opportunities that we have available on those on-prem systems, where you are in your data journey.
Got it. And what is it that is creating that, that spread of maturity when it comes to data systems, especially in this industry?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just, getting the systems in place, I think, to kind of govern your data, understand your data, and then really unlocking the tools. Building the teams, everyone, the size of the organization, and the resources. What's nice though is, with a lot of the tools that are coming out, it's making it easier and easier to help people unlock the data. Especially with this topic, data streaming, and how Solifi, you guys have started to implement it. I mean, moving into the cloud and leveraging data streaming really helps unlock that, and kind of helps people take that next step and enable all the things that data has to offer.
That makes a lot of sense. So you've alluded to it, and it's in the topic of the webinar, data streaming. Give us an overview of what data streaming actually is.
Yeah, so data streaming is it's a modern approach to how data is consumed. A lot of, older system architectures, you have data kind of flows from one system to another in kind of a batch mode. But what data streaming allows is it allows a continuous stream of real-time data, that is ready for your systems to consume, and however you are able to, for multiple systems, you can have a stream that can connect system A, B, and C. It's great, just a great technological advancement that allows us to just leverage and make decisions off that data in real time. Great step forward, and really we're starting to see a lot of, cool things that applications are able to be built off of, and things that we can do with the ability to make decisions in real time off of data.
Sure. And why now? Why is, this getting attention right now in the industry? Like, why are people thinking about this right now?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a huge evolution of technology and data advancements, and how we use data. I mean, you can see everyone has a cell phone, right? So we're connected all the time. Data, how we consume data as customers, I mean, it never shuts off. With that, we're generating data, all the time that can be leveraged. There's the IoT devices. So every single device that you have, not even just you, devices are consuming data on how things are operating. All of that, can get collated, and you need to have that ability to, have that data at your fingertips. So that's what data streaming unlocks. You're, connected to systems, being able to have that data at real time, and to have that shift, as we kind of mentioned before, that batch mode of data just kind of is really in the past. You really need technology to have that streaming available real time.
If
So
I could add something to that real quick,
yeah,
though,
yeah,
if
please,
you
Corey,
wouldn't
go
mind.
ahead. Yeah, this is
Yeah, and
conversation. Yeah, let's go.
just to extend kind of on what Chad was saying too, another big reason why we're seeing this shift to data streaming is because of the shift from on-prem to cloud-based systems like Solifi's OFP environment, right? Just about any enterprise software that you're working with now, what might have been on-prem on servers, at your actual location at one point, is now in the cloud. So it's difficult to just hardwire right into the cloud, right? Not the way that you can plug into a local based, on-prem system. And so as we shift these enterprise systems to the cloud, accessing that data can't be hardwired and now has to be pulled down through some type of a device like data streaming. And so, people have wanted to talk about data forever. That's nothing new. But the way that we access that data, that's the data streaming portion of this. That's the new portion of this. And that's one of the reasons that we wanted to have this conversation today. So
Sure.
that's all I have on that.
No, that's really helpful. What are some real life examples of, what are the sorts of data integrations where, historically it might, in a legacy mode, it might be done via batch, and in, or dating myself, via a nightly cron job, or, now as we're making migrations into the cloud and you have you still have the need for the data, what are some of those examples that maybe our audience are facing where they need the data and they're like, I'm not sure how I'm going to get it from here to here, if I move one of my systems into the cloud or into a different location?
Yeah. I mean, as Corey mentioned, that's really the big shift. With the cloud architectures, data streaming is very critical for you to be able to leverage your data effectively. And the number one piece of that is, having that need for that real-time data consumption and things you can do with that. Some good examples. You can enable real-time fraud detection, right? I mean, having that data instantly happening, you can have live operational dashboards. We see all over the place, instant personalization and recommendations, right? So you can now have applications learning trends instantly, and as people log in, learn from that and jump right in and change the customer experience based on what you're seeing. And another good real example that we see probably all the time with real-time data. I'm sure most people have used Uber, right? Huge example of Uber loses real-time data. You're sitting there waiting for a car and suddenly the price just jumped $10, right? I mean, that's because it's connecting real-time data instantly to see the demand. And then as you're driving, you're constantly following the car. You're kind of seeing it directing traffic. I mean, great use of just an explosion of how real-time data can use. And so, having this available, really helps shift and to get a competitive advantage over people who don't have that. I mean, just a huge step up. Another thing is as technology changes and applications are built differently, the focus is more on event-driven architecture. So having that data to make this and microservices, as we've changed on how systems are being built, that data in that real time and be able to will leverage those type of architectures and applications to go forward. Another big one, AI and machine learning, right? I mean, to really effectively use AI and machine learning, which we'll probably talk about a little bit more as well, you really need fresh data, right, to really take advantage of that. So getting that constant flow, we'll just be able to leverage that way more effectively. And I guess the big thing we're kind of alluding to, if you're not using this, it's no longer a luxury to kind of not have real-time data at your fingertips. I think you run a real risk of your business and company kind of being left behind and not being able to respond to, customers in a way. And I think that other companies will be able to respond better and faster, if you don't have this at the core of how you're making decisions. So, and again, really excited that this is an opportunity and that Solifi is right on the cutting edge of making this available on their cloud systems for customers to leverage.
Well, it's a really good point that you bring up, Chad, about the expectations that we have as human beings is being set by our cell phones and by the daily use of apps that we use like Uber. And so when it comes to loan processing or audit reporting or hey, what's the status of my customers in a know your customer, what's the full visibility to all of their different products that they may have from me as a bank or as a lender. If I don't have that information real time, I feel like I'm missing out on something because I know I can get real time information right here in other areas of my life. And so when it comes to finance and processing and the information that I want either to run my business or to serve my customer, those expectations don't go away just because we're in a different industry framework or objective. Tim, you look like you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of a real life example of an application is, what we're describing here is we have a client that uses a composite rating system for third-party vendors, primarily brokers, but vendors, and the real-time collection of data allows for the collection of really combining analytics, creating a composite rating per third-party vendor broker, and then returning that value back to the front-end system that helps drive their credit model. So they have a weighted attribute in their credit model that allows for them to benefit from having very current data affecting the decisioning process on the front end through their workflow. So just to provide more of a real antidote to that conversation. So
that makes complete sense. So let's follow on that, Tim. Where are our clients today struggling to either get started or to figure out where do they need to start getting access to real-time data and move maybe from that batch mode into a real-time mode?
Well, I think Chad touched on it briefly, is just kind of making it a priority to have a data strategy in mind, with a sense of where you want to take the company, short and long term, in terms of how sophisticated do you want to be, and then understanding where the streaming element fits in. So for instance, all of these systems, Solifi's system comes with a prepackaged reporting system, comes with some level of limited data access. But if you're interested in driving front-end sophisticated, scalable AI, agentic AI, predictive AI, if you're interested in doing composite consolidated business analytics, both across the spectrum of your different functions in your company, if you have those things in mind, then recognize that data streaming coming off the platform is going to be essential to driving all of those things. I think the challenges are, depending on your scale of your organization, it's recognizing, okay, there's sort of a standard package of topics that are part of the streaming package that can be obtained. And I think understanding the scope of that package, having a domain expert available that can allow you to properly recognize what topics need to be included to drive the scale you're interested in for the foreseeable future. I think that's been a challenge. Solifi does a good job of creating a defined standard package for day one for the smaller scale companies that are onboarding. But the larger the company, there's more of an evaluation that needs to be done with that. And then, Of course, having the sophistication and the commitment to recognize that, the way that streaming works, you have to have the architecture, receiving architecture in order to support that. And that's often not, at least on the smaller companies, smaller, medium-sized companies, that may not be immediately recognizable as part of the initial commitment. So those are probably the main things.
That makes a lot of sense. And so it really starts with that data strategy and having somebody like Tamarack or another organization coming in and helping to paint that picture and, you know, kind of create the vision of what's possible, so that then we know, hey, what's the data infrastructure, both on the sending and receiving side, that we need to actually create or implement, starting from this springboard or from this platform of Solifi data streaming and the topics that kind of come pre-packaged or out of the box. Is that, did I capture that?
Kind of kind of the day one package is certainly adequate for you know, smaller companies that are starting out, that need base business analytics. Some of what we've talked about here, some initial predictive or agentic AI type support, basic support. The base package is pretty good for that, and as well as feeding surround applications if there are portals that need to collect data on a real-time or near real-time basis. The base package is pretty good, but once you get more sophisticated and you have higher ambitions and you want to scale, there's a need to review the other potential other topics involved.
I think that's a really good point for our audience, is that the core package that comes out of the box, right, of the topics that are available, that's a really good starting point, but that is typically not your ending or your full maturity point, right? It's getting people to that point of to that maturity inflection point, but then realizing, hey, there's farther to go, and at that point the Solifi infrastructure is available. It is able to handle those different directions and different visions, but you, the organization, with the guidance of somebody like a Tamarack, needs to be able to come out and define your own data strategy. What services and capabilities do you want to implement first, second, third, fourth down the road for yourselves and for your clients? And that's something where we at Solifi don't assume or presume to know what that is. We give you the tools there, but you still have some building and some definition to do.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'll just add, is that you know, business analytics, sophisticated business analytics, and real-time, near real-time processing were thought to be those are for the big players. But with the scale and the advancements in technology, with the capabilities of things like streaming, that now the smaller companies can now benefit from those types of things, and so sophisticated business analytics can be available. You know, real-time, near real-time processing, triggers, event-driven activities can now drive a smaller scale platform. So for smaller
that
companies.
makes sense. I like that democratization of data access and the capabilities that come along with that. Corey, I want to bring you into the conversation. You know, Tim alluded to the fact that this starts, right, that your data strategy starts maybe by understanding, you know, figuring out what questions you want to answer. And that means you've got to have a kind of a vision for what you want, what your customers need or require, and what's going to create a differentiator for you. So how does Tamarack come in and help guide this process for clients, and how do you help clients both get started and then drive down the road and really mature through their own vision?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's, as Chad mentioned earlier, there's a lot of different starting points of the clients we work with. Some have existing data infrastructure, maybe from a previous system they were on. Some have some infrastructure, some have absolutely none at all. Maybe they're a new business, or they completely outsourced all of that in the past. But kind of to tie it back to what we were just talking about, really the starting point and where Tamarack kind of helps companies get started is figuring out how they want to use their data. What are they trying to accomplish? What problems are they trying to solve? What advancements are they trying to make? A lot of people start with just basic reporting, right? Which you can get some out of the package from Solifi or from the system, but some advanced operational reporting is where a lot of folks start. But what we do is we're either, you know, your internal team, if you have a team that's capable of doing this internally, we can kind of advise you on this, or we can handle a lot of this for you. But what needs to be done is you need to sit down and realize where you're at with your data infrastructure. Do you have the database in place? How have you been consuming the data in the past? Do you have a full data schema and reporting already built out? If so, and now you're maybe just switching to Solifi's cloud, and you just need help replumbing the data back in, coming from the cloud down into your database, something as simple as that, we can step in and help you with. And this is kind of goes back to where a lot of folks struggle that we see trying to do this on their own, is they typically will lack an expertise in the Kafka data streaming technology. Now you can maybe find a resource that has some experience with that, but what we found is a lot of folks just try to lean on someone like Tamarack to help them get that implemented, because they just don't have the background in that technology. So we can help you if you already have a very mature data infrastructure, but you just need help replumbing it coming down from the cloud. We can help with that. Or if you are kind of less further on that journey, like Chad mentioned earlier, further on that kind of data journey, and you don't have any data infrastructure at all, you're kind of throwing your hands up saying, we don't really know where to get started here. We can come in and basically build out and manage your end-to-end data infrastructure for you, and ongoing, manage that ongoing, or kind of hand, the keys of the kingdom over to you after we get everything built out for you. There's a lot of different ways that we can help folks. It just depends on where you're at and where you want to go. But a lot of times when we first get started talking about, where you're at and where you want to go, we need to understand, to your point a minute ago, Billy, we need to understand, and you as a company need to understand, what do you want to do with your data? Do you just need some basic reporting? Right. Great, we can help you set that up, or you guys can discuss internally and get that set up. Or are you looking for things like advanced analytics, operational AI, real-time risk monitoring, and to make real-time credit decisions and real-time approvals? All of that can all be done as well. But if that's the case, we need to understand that up front, because there's going to be a different set of streaming topics or data points coming out of the system into your database that we need to talk about. So that's kind of where we help, is we help you basically map out those Solifi, the info lease and the report streaming topics that you might need to accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish with your data. We'll build out the data consumer for you to consume the data out of the Solifi system, and structure that in your database schema. So again, if you have some of that set up already, we can help you just integrate it with Solifi. If you don't have any of that, we can help you set it all up, kind of from end to end and start to finish as well. So there's a number of different ways that we can help out with. But really, what we're trying to help folks with the most now is what you can do with your data beyond just some of that reporting too. And that goes again back into the advanced analytics, using AI layers over the top of maybe some dashboards to help you derive some of those insights and make decisions. Upsell and cross-sell triggers, anything that we can do to help your business either make better decisions, make faster decisions, automate workflows, a number of different kind of business cases or use cases that you can do with the data now that you have it in a real time, coming from this data streaming technology. But that's where we kind of help you figure out, what do you want to do with the data? What are you trying to accomplish from a business perspective? And then where's your data infrastructure at currently? And then we help blend all of that together, basically just to get you to where you're trying to go.
Sure. So let me pause here and address the audience who are with us today. Again, thank you for taking some time out of your day to join us live. If you are here live, please make use of the question and answer box there at the bottom of your screen. You can submit your questions to our panel. I also want to draw your attention to the materials tab in your interface there. This visual that you've been seeing throughout this webinar is available for you to download from Tamarack. Thank you, Tamarack, for providing that to our audience. If you are watching this real time, there should be a link here in the blog post hosting this webinar recording for this downloadable PDF, just kind of outlining how Tamarack helps the implementation, a little explainer on what is data streaming and how does it come to life, or how can it come to life in your organization. We've alluded to this a while, gentlemen, and here as we're coming towards the close of the webinar of our allotted time, I do want to take some extra time and talk a little bit about AI, because it is so data hungry. In order to have good agentic AI, you need to have well-structured processes that can be automated and where decisions can be made. In order to have inference or decision support-based AI, you need to have really good data available for the AI to both train on and continually learn on. Give us a sense of how data streaming fits in by making data available to agentic systems kind of throughout the different parts of the processes that may be connected via data streaming between the maybe on-prem consumers, maybe cloud-based reporting systems, or systems that try to give you a full view across different asset classes or even different core systems. How does data streaming fit in with an AI vision?
One of the things that, and you just kind of touched on there, Billy, but just to exhaust it a little bit more, is that there's a lot of folks that will come to us and they want to talk about AI. So, they see all these fun, fancy things going on, and whether it's this industry or others that people are doing, whether it's automating workflows or looking at advanced analytics that are being derived by AI. But the problem is, and we have to have this conversation, which isn't always great because people don't always like the answer. But the problem is, if you don't have your data organized and structured in a sense that AI can utilize it to your point, to learn and then take actions off of, then there's not a whole lot you can do. That's where you need to start. So companies will want to implement AI right away, but really we need to take a step back and look at the structure of their data. And the nice thing about data streaming is that we can pipe it in to a database and a schema where it comes in structured and ready for that AI. And so that's where data streaming comes in here, is it keeps everything organized. Real time is always going to be better as well. So it sets you up to be prepared for AI. And then the AI use cases, and we can go ahead and talk about all that from there. But first and foremost, you have to have your data collected, structured, and organized. And that's where data streaming, helps out a lot.
And what if we don't have clean data? Like, or what if we don't know if our data is structured or clean? Is that something that Tamarack can help out with? Or what do we need to do to get started to start being productive?
Yeah, so what we've done with our AI oriented work is, to Corey's point, there's problems with cleanliness of data, there's data gaps, there's behaviors that are learned about the business in terms of how they've adjusted processes, and at one point they weren't filling in data, then they started filling in data, and then they've changed reference points on data. And so cleanliness is certainly important, and Tamarack has methods and ways within the AI scope of work that gets done that allows for the ability to smooth out and normalize data. There's different techniques within the data science realm that allow for analyzing data and then creating really synthetic data if it's necessary, to fill in gaps and to bridge gaps where there's a lacking an adequate amount of data or on a key data point where there's a cleanliness problem that just can't be managed. So there's different methods to approach that we've had to deal with over my time with the company, and we've done so with success. So yeah.
So it sounds like Tamarack has not only addressed these problems of either sparse data or unclean or unstructured data, but also you have a proven process that you can come to the table with and run that process or adapt that process as needed for each client. I mean, everybody's going to be different, I imagine.
Right. There's always going to be challenges with the data when it comes to AI. There's no question, and you do need clean and normalized data. The data needs to have the same meaning in the schema, and we're able to do that with the work that we've done and we'll continue to do. So yeah.
And as a trusted partner of Solifi, we don't hesitate at all to recommend Tamarack and your processes based on the history, both with our products and in the industry, with your years and years of combined experience. and your history of proven success here. So that's something that we're really proud to partner with Tamarack here, and lean on your expertise, bringing our products to life out in the real world, solving real problems for real customers. So thank you for being a valued partner.
I want to reiterate one thing you said there, Billy, just real quick, because it is really important, is that there's no one-size-fits-all solution for the data cleanliness, for the structure that your data should be in, which data points you should be streaming, how you should be using it. And so that's why we have these conversations up front, is to help people organize their thoughts, whether it's your internal team having this conversation, figuring this out. Tamarack, of course, we would love to step in and help you with that, even if just from an advisory role or an execution role. But there's just no one size fits all, which is why you really need to talk through some of this with each individual company and organization to construct the path that works best for them, because none of them are linear, none of them are the same. But I think that's a really important point you brought up there. So thank you.
Yeah, and I'll add one more thing just on that
Please
whole
do.
topic. I mean, besides just the ability to just clean the data, I mean, I think you also, and this is where you can come in and help, is establishing data governance. And that's, again, it's everyone's moving so quickly, and just getting systems up. It's already complex enough, but it's a lot of times becomes an afterthought. But having a nice data governance policy, who owns the data, where's the data coming from, if you have multiple systems, what's the source of truth, how we allow updates, how we allow the data to be updated in the system. Establishing this governance and plans and protocols will really help maintain and keep it clean, in addition. So there's also an aspect of just, here's what we have with the data today, but to really have an effective ongoing future and to keep it clean, really getting those policies in place and getting that practice going, I think, is very key, and coming in and helping customers do that, because not everybody has that expertise. We're always happy to come alongside and, again, help you on your data journey, which is huge backbone of your company, right? And not always leveraged, as effective as it can be.
So if people want to reach out and, on the screen here, we see schedule a consultation. If they want to get started, or just kind of talk to somebody at Tamarack who's been through this rigmarole before, where do they go? Give us your website and how people should contact you.
Yeah, so our website is tamarack.ai. You can reach out to me directly. I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm not the expert, but I can get you in touch with the experts like Chad and Tim and others on our team. So I can help coordinate that. Like I mentioned, we just want to have a conversation up front to see where you're at and see if you guys need help. Maybe you're able to do it on your own. We'd love to step in and help, of course. But the downloadable PDF from this webinar as well will have all of my contact information in there. Again, I'm Corey. And I can help kind of coordinate and set up those initial consultation calls just to start the conversation and help you guys either develop a plan or develop and execute that plan.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, on behalf of Solifi and on behalf of our audience, thank you for taking the time out of your day to have this discussion with us and with our audience about data streaming, its importance. If our audience watching this or listening to it wishes to reach out to Tamarack, please go to tamarack.ai and or reach out to Corey Ashline himself, and you can make use of the downloadable PDF, which has contact information as well as these slides that we've been sharing today on this webinar. And of course, you can always reach out to solifi.com if you want to learn more about data streaming, our product offerings, etc. So, gentlemen, any parting thoughts here before we wrap up this webinar this morning? All right. Thank you. On behalf of Solifi, everybody, I'm Billy Kripe. Until next time, so long.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
Everyone.